Hello, everybody! Welcome back to Professor Phoenix Layton Wright versus the world. Yep. In Labyrinthia, we're gonna learn about the Talia Magica. Hey, Claire, let me ask you. So, can you give me a full, detailed recap of what happened last time? Espella. Uh-oh, no Claire audio? That's unfortunate. Huh. Wow. Ah, that would do it. That will do it. Hang on. I did actually put the wrong cable. Hang on. Let me fix that.
Someone cleaning their desk.
There we go. That's Claire.
Who's cleaning their desk?
That's Claire. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, Bree asking me to do a full detailed recap, which I was doing pretty well, I think. And
You were doing a great job, actually.
Thank you. The sound of wiping crumbs off the tabletop, you know.
So
Uh, nice color change. I like the little update. I don't know why your color changed to blue. I know you're always purple, unless you did that for another chat.
I definitely did just wipe crumbs off a tabletop. I can't believe that got picked up. That's crazy.
Well, there we go.
That's wild.
Really, Bree was like, you know what? Fuck this recap. You know what's more interesting?
So
Literally anything else.
So after I asked you to do that recap for which you 100% could not be heard.
100% speed run count here.
Now it may have. Oh, is save point happening right now? That's cool. That rules.
What I thought it might have been.
That rules. But what I was saying, what you were saying, of course, was that Phoenix Wright is gonna save Espella again.
Yeah, basically. That is the gist of it. Also because
yeah,
she did hot pink.
Then.
It's a good look. You know what? I'm realizing that the script I wrote for the comments in the VOD don't account for people actively changing their color. So doesn't make sense, but oh well. That's just how it is.
So true.
Context clues, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, so where we're at.
Right, Estella is once again in a spiral.
In a spiral. We
Espiral's the
are
evolution form.
Gonna learn about the Talia Magica from these four witnesses. We previously had proved something about how it couldn't have been Espella because she was holding stuff.
A spade.
She was holding it. She wasn't.
Do you want to review your court record, maybe?
Yeah, let's review the court record just before.
That might be helpful because we're gonna have to remember things.
Hang on. Oh,
this was me, wasn't it? I was like 3 of them. Anyways, when I saw her, the witch was carrying a large milk bucket in one hand and a lantern in the other.
I think this is a completely different voice than you were doing for him.
What was I doing before? I just was trying.
I think it was like he's a little. He wants to be a knight, but he's not a real knight.
that doesn't help me. Oh no.
It's all good. This is his voice now. He hit puberty.
That's his voice now.
The girl had the lantern hanging from her wrist. Her hand was contorted in a strange way.
I got a look. I got a good look at her hand, and it looked for certain that she was gripping something.
The witch was holding a scepter in her right hand. She did not drop it once before she was apprehended.
Okay. All right.
Who was the judge?
You were the judge. You were this judge.
Do you remember what voice I was doing? I think I remember.
Okay.
I see. The accused hand was contorted in a strange way. I do believe this is quite an important piece of testimony.
I saw it. I most certainly saw it. She was holding an invisible scepter.
We saw it too. It was the girl up there, without a doubt.
I as well. These old eyes don't see as well as they once did, but I witnessed the hazy, blurry form of the accused quite clearly.
Don't tell the court you're blind. My eyesight is as sharp as the edge of my trusty blade.
A toy sword. How fascinating. Although I wonder if he understands the implications of that analogy on his vision. Sir Baker, you may proceed with your interrogation.
Mr. Layton's given me another chance. I can't let it go to waste. Thanks, Papa Layton.
Not the Talia Magic. Okay. Sorry, I instinctively did that.
The large lantern you mentioned is this one, correct? There is no mistaking it. The fiendishly fiendish form with its case darker than the darkest of nights. That was the lantern. It's just a normal lantern.
What is this? It would seem the glass is shattered. And there seems to be a sizable amount of mud stuck to it. On closer inspection, it appears mud has stuck to the broken sections of glass. Most intriguing.
So then, when exactly did the lantern get mud all over it? By the way, witness, you also saw a milk bucket, is that right? Indeed! I would bet my sword on it! I fully don't remember what his voice sounded like. I'm like trying too many. Harry. And yet
Harry.
that milk bucket mysteriously vanished from the scene of the crime.
How many times must I say it, Sir Apprentice Baker? The problem is the Black Lantern.
I don't think that's true.
So, what's that menu?
Wait, where's your evidence?
I don't have a court record because I'm in the cross-examination. I just go into here.
Oh, right, okay. Can we look at the photo? Do you have the photo?
The photo's not in the court record.
Oh.
We need to get it in the court record, so let's press.
Yeah. Maybe this is how you get it in the court record.
Okay, I have it here. Well, I think I
She
still
had
got
the... What?
Hang on.
Oh, I see. She
Yeah, it's
had
still
the
not in the
lantern
court record.
hanging from her wrist. Are you sure?
Of course we're sure. If that wasn't it, then how else would the girl manage to hold her invisible scepter?
Ma'am, please, just testify about what you actually saw.
We just said that's what we saw. Isn't that right, Snowy?
Indeed. A handle as wide as this could be easily hung from the accused's small wrist.
Yes, that's what we were telling you. Isn't that right, Mummy's little snowball?
Bah.
You're the sheep. It's no good. They're all bent on assuming Espella was holding that scepter.
It seems it may be best not to pursue this particular line of questioning any further.
Well, that's just super.
Okay, but we still need to get the photo.
We do, yeah. It looked for certain like she was gripping something. What exactly was the defendant gripping? It was, that's right. It was something crane-like? Or cane-like? What was it called? A witch's scepter? Yes, that was definitely it.
Objection!
Whoa, wait, Miss Kira, you didn't actually see it, did you?
Witness. This cane-like object, was it perhaps roughly this size?
Oh, why yes. It was exactly that size. No good. They're all bent on assuming this fellow was holding a scepter.
It seems it may be best not to pursue this particular line of questioning any further.
Super. Game's really like, no, not this one.
Fuck. I pressed the wrong button.
Did you do something? Guess I should take another look at the court records. Yeah, have we read all of our evidence?
I was not. We have, because it went to him last,
Right, we haven't
pressed
pushed
him
on
yet.
this. Yeah.
I'm gonna press him, even though they're telling us not to.
Hold it!
Let me get this straight. There was no way for you to see this invisible scepter, was there?
Well, now that's common sense, boy. One cannot see what is not there to be seen.
In that case, there was also no way you could tell whether or not she might have dropped the scepter.
Well, these old eyes of mine honed in on her hand like a hawk until they couldn't see straight. The young lady was most certainly holding an invisible scepter in her right hand, while at the same time also carrying the lantern. Or do you perhaps possess some piece of evidence to suggest that she dropped the scepter?
There hasn't been any evidence so far to Spella was holding the scepter.
Evidence suggesting the scepter was dropped. Now that is an interesting idea.
Huh?
If Espella did not have the scepter in her hand, it would have been impossible for her to have used any magic.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I don't suppose... Might that be a piece of evidence that could prove this? Something to prove that Espella was not holding the scepter at the time of the murder.
In other words, evidence to show that even if Spella had been holding the scepter, she would have dropped it.
Okay, let's look at the court record.
Details. Alright. Okay, so this is just like an examine thing.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of evidence here.
No. The
Is
lantern
it something
Spella's
about
holding
the
glasses
lantern being covered in mud?
broken and covered in
Oh! It's the lantern.
Wait,
So
we should read the third one though, just to make sure.
So what they're... This is just the case outline.
The use of the Vern. Okay.
So it's the lantern. Here's why. Because they're saying the scepter was in her hand and the lantern was on her wrist. So if the lantern fell to the ground and was covered in mud,
yeah,
she couldn't have dropped the lantern. Now, of course,
that makes sense.
We know it's incredibly obvious she could have just dropped the lantern after. But there's nothing else that makes sense here.
No, I think that exactly, because if you're grabbing a scepter, it can't slide off, which you're exactly proving. Like, this is a direct contradiction, which is exactly what the game's looking for.
And which statement is it a direct contradiction of? Not this one.
Something that fell off. Let's see. Her hand is pointed
No.
Not this one. Not this one. I guess it's this one? She did not drop it once before she was apprehended.
Oh, she did not drop it. Yeah, here it is. It's this one.
Wait, but this doesn't...
This says that he's saying
right.
she did
So
not
you'd
drop
have
it.
to have dropped it. Right, yeah, it does contradict. Sorry. We were just talking the other way.
Objection.
There is a high probability that Miss Cantabella was not holding the scepter. But if, for the sake of argument, she had been holding it, she would undoubtedly have dropped it at the time of the incident.
What do you mean?
What I mean, Inquisitor Barnham, is that this lantern proves the defendant was not holding the scepter.
Objection.
What foolishness are you spouting, Sir Apprentice Baker? The lantern's handle was around the accused's wrists.
Objection.
Meaning she could have held the scepter? I'm afraid that's not the problem here, Inquisitor Barnham. The problem is with the broken glass and the mud plastered all over it.
What?
The rain had ended just as the murder was taking place. That would make the path fairly muddy, don't you agree? When the thieves grabbed Miss Cantabella by the arm, the lantern must have fallen into the mud.
The lantern.
Fell into the mud!
Why, of course. That makes sense, doesn't it, my little snowy wowie?
Well, what do you say, Inquisitor Barnham? If she was holding the scepter at that time, that would mean that when she dropped the lantern, the scepter would have fallen along with it.
Ugh.
What's going on? Inquisitor Barnham seems speechless.
That defender's managed to turn this thing around, even though he's just some baker.
No way! Pay the witch's accomplices no heed. They're just trying to trick you.
Is Taco from the Adventure Zone here?
Hi, it's me, Taco from the Adventure Zone.
It was just such a spot-on impression. What is this?
One moment, please. Everyone, please listen. Didn't we all just stand here and explain to the court that what we saw clearly? It's a lantern, so what? What's so special about it? Explain it to me so I can understand. So that you can understand? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious just by looking at it.
Mr. Wright,
What is it, Mr. Layton?
there is something about this witness. Miss Kira, was it? Tell me, Miss Kira. How
When did you
good
get
is
here?
your eyesight, exactly?
Huh?
As you just heard Mr. Wright explain, the answer to your query is quite obvious at a glance. Tell me, are you able to see the mud present on this lantern?
Mud? What mud? What are you talking about?
Your Honor, did you hear that just now? Yes, indeed. What does it mean, exactly? It means that Miss Kira's poor eyesight is the reason she cannot see the mud present on this lantern. In other words, the validity of Miss Kira's testimony is questionable at best. Objection!
Ah!
Order! Order in the court! What is the meaning of this? What say you in your defense, witness? I highly recommend you give us nothing but the truth.
Not to metagame, but her design is too boring to be the killer.
She's the killer. She's totally the killer.
She's not interesting enough.
She's the killer.
thing is the
I think she's the
problem.
killer.
I'm sorry, Inquisitor Barnham. It's true, I need to wear glasses, which were invented all the time, in fact.
Glasses were invented in medieval times.
Wow, okay.
Actually, more like 1600s. So yeah, you're right. You need to wear glasses?
Aha! Now that you mention it, I did notice something odd about you today.
Oh, I thought you looked familiar. Gone is the mist that clouded my mind. In its place, clarity.
Fair maiden, a piece of spectacles are as valuable as a shield to a knight. Make haste and procure another pair. Now then, Miss Kira, tell me, at the time of the incident, were you wearing your glasses? No, I was not wearing them. The truth is, I lost my glasses a couple days ago.
You lost them?
So her glasses were missing during the time of the incident.
Mr. Wright, might I recommend that you keep note of this fact? It could prove useful later.
Got it. Glasses.
I believe there is nothing left to prove on this matter. At the time of the murder, the accused did not have a witch's scepter in her possession.
We did it. Damn it.
Wait just a moment. Snowy and I have much more left to say.
That's right, my trusty sword of justice shall cut through this witch's treacherous lies. I may have lost my glasses, but I haven't lost my will to testify.
Oh, okay. Eureka! I remember now. Old age has a way of sneaking up on me. I'm sure you must understand.
Yeah, I understand. I understand you're all completely ridiculous.
It would seem we have not yet arrived at a clear-cut verdict. Witnesses, you may once again begin to testify to the court. Tell us about the scepter and how it was used in the detestable display of witchcraft that you all witnessed tonight.
Very impartial judge.
Oldest recorded instance of glasses is 1200s. I thought it was I always thought it was 1600s of like Age of Exploration stuff, because lenses and stuff. But that's interesting. That makes sense. Fen, when you said the reveal that the voice is him legitimately doing an impression of someone they all know is still the funniest thing to me. What reveal is that?
Is him legitimately doing it? Wait, what? Oh.
Which?
Taco.
Oh, Taco! Oh, yeah, that's really good. That's really good. God, that's so funny. About the Talea Magica.
Right, because he was doing an impression.
Yeah.
And that was just what the voice was. The girl was not holding the scepter in the same hand as the lantern, which means it must have been in her other hand. The accused is holding a milk bucket in the court illustration. Who's to say she wasn't holding the scepter in that hand?
That milk bucket is lighter than it looks. Even Snowy could carry it. So she could have easily held the scepter as well.
I did not see this milk bucket. Everything felt like an illusion.
Dude was high.
The scepter was in her other hand, you say? Indeed, such a proposal is feasible. Sir Baker.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is the strangest thing. The longer this trial goes, the more you begin to resemble a legitimate defender.
Huh?
Well, no matter. Defender, you may begin your interrogation.
Lenses are at least as old as Ptolemy in the 2nd century, by the way, but precision lenses manufacturing did come around in the early modern period.
This is what... Okay, thank you. Thank you for the history of glasses. I'm glad that I remembered that something did happen in the early modern period about glasses. Okay. The girl's not holding the scepter in the same hand as the lantern. She's must have been in her other hand. We're pressing. We're pressing everything.
Okay. But did you actually see that with your own eyes? Alas, magic's vile embrace hid the scepter from my sight, so I did not see it per se. However, through my years of knightly training, I have learned to see through such cunning trickery. Is that so? For example, this morning I found myself unable to locate the whereabouts of my trusty blade. Its location was a mystery. So I tried my hardest to think and remember where I would have kept it at last. And before long, behold, it transpired as I was carrying my trusty blade in its scabbard all along. Life is riddled with such trickery.
Would you say life is riddled with trickery, Nick?
Only if you're talking about my life, Maya. Fully expecting Phoenix to make a dig at Maya.
Yeah.
Have we talked about how Maya's a kleptomaniac?
We haven't talked about that one. I know that there was ghosts and stuff. That she's a psychic or something. I don't know.
She's the best character. She's just like, what if we did some crime, Nick? And Nick's like, we're fucking lawyers.
She's so right, though.
Anyways, the court illustration. That's right. Judging by the sketch alone, it does look possible for her to have held the scepter. Is that true? However, if you actually try holding that thing, you'll notice just how thick it is. No way would she have been holding it.
Objection.
That is nothing more than mere speculation. You cannot say for certain that she was unable to hold it.
You say speculation, I say it's a fact. There's no way Espella could have been holding that thing.
As is expected, this testimony is filled with nothing but assumptions and conjecture.
Mr. Layton.
You know, Mr. Wright, there does not appear to be any useful evidence present in the court illustration.
Yeah, I agree. It does look that way.
So that's why it's not in the court record, okay.
Right, yeah. Milk bucket ended up disappearing from the scene.
I don't know how this is important, but...
I have no idea. Could that actually be an important piece of evidence in itself? What we're trying to figure out, too.
It's gotta be the milk goblins.
The milk goblins?
Yeah, I love to gobble milk. Just... I don't
This
drink
milk
milk.
be goblin.
Hold it.
Just 1 second, Miss Mary. Oh my god, I just included her name as Mary.
What is it now? Snowy and I don't have all night, you know. Come on then, out with it.
I just have one question regarding your testimony. How exactly did you know that the bucket Miss Cantabella was carrying was light enough for Snowy to carry?
Huh? Well... You see, the girl always uses the same bucket whenever she comes to buy milk from us. Naturally, I would have seen that bucket countless times before.
You've seen it countless times before. That doesn't answer my question. You specifically said that bucket is lighter than it looks. Miss Mary, at some point tonight, you must have held that bucket yourself.
Oh,
Now then, please enlighten us as to exactly when you got your hands on the bucket.
it's true. By that time, Robs and mugs had already been burnt to ash. And then... I noticed the milk in that bucket that the girl had been holding in her hand.
The milk.
Then, when those two went up in a blaze, Snowy and I made a dash for the bucket.
So, can you just imagine this?
I
As the
can't,
girl
it's
stood-
really funny!
As the girl stood there, looking confused, we took the milk from her to make sure it was okay.
They should have the same cinematic from before. They should play it again, and then you just see at the end of it, it's just her running
Just
in.
fucking running, Terminator run at the milk. Huh?
Unbelievable. Witness you.
Ah. Well, it was just so wasteful, the thought of all that disgusting ash falling into such precious milk. I felt I just had to protect the milk, so I took the bucket back to the farm with me.
I watched a video the other day about the metaphorical use of milk in film. Not sure where this one fits into
This
it.
is so specific, what?
It's a really good video. It talks about how it represents like purity and also like innocence and childhood, and then all the like twisted versions of that and all this stuff. It's great.
Right. That makes sense.
Madam, do you mean to tell the court that you took evidence from a crime scene back home with you?
Yes, I'm the milk goblin.
That explains why we were unable to locate the milk bucket at the scene.
Oh my, you're scaring poor Snowy. Here, I brought the bucket with me anyway, see? I didn't even tamper with the milk. I
That
never
milk's-
leave home without my milk.
That milk's not going to be good for much longer.
No, that's good. I'm sure you didn't.
The court shall accept this milk bucket as evidence. Bucket of milk added to the court record.
Man, please, the milk. Looks like that's one more piece of evidence for us.
It's the milk goblin like the mind goblin.
What?
But, you know, the mind goblin.
The mind goblin?
Yeah, you mind goblin these nuts. Bow! Bow, bow, bow! Bow, bow, bow! Bow, bow, bow!
You good?
The milk goblin does not know about pasteurization. That's so true.
Milk
Now,
goblin
will
likes to eat the milk, not just drink it.
Yeah. Now, will the gentleman with the impressive beard proceed with his testimony? I'm pressing on this for sure.
Hold it!
Yeah. You didn't see the bucket?
Indeed. Sorry, I forgot to speak. Naturally, there was no way of me noticing the witch before the crime occurred. My mind was placid as the most placid of placid lakes. But, like the early bird on its morning hunt for that elusive worm, my senses remained vigilant.
You do realize the other witnesses have all testified to having seen Miss Cantbella carrying that bucket, though.
And when you've journeyed as far as I have through life, you find all is but an illusion. That is, except for Lord Storyteller, of course.
That's it all. That's
Sorry.
it for the testimony. Can't believe Mary took the bucket home with her.
Miss Mary must be one of those thieving forest wolves we've been hearing about.
Let us hope she doesn't eat like a wolf as well, Luke, for her Snowy's sake.
I like digging into my children.
I've got this new piece of evidence, but the question is, how can I use it?
It's a great question, Phoenix. You know, looking at this milk bucket now, it does look sort of different from the sketch, don't you think? As soon as I saw it and she said looking at the milk bucket, I was like, oh.
Right. It might be a good idea to get a nice, good look at that actual milk bucket.
So it's gonna be. Must have been in her other hand. The accused is holding a milk bucket in the court illustration. Who's to say she wasn't also holding the scepter in that hand? And I think this is what we present on, right?
Why?
Because look at this. How would you hold a scepter and this at the same time? It has these specifically raised wooden pieces.
Oh, okay. Are they saying like they held the bucket and the scepter like just like you grab both by the handle?
Yeah, because like if you look in the court illustration, the
see.
handle's just rope.
Yeah, look
But
at the photo. I don't think we can look
We
at the
can't. We don't have
photo,
the
though.
photo.
Yeah. I think Fen had the same idea as me, which is like, is it even the same bucket?
It's not. It's a different bucket.
Right. And but that doesn't matter because we can use this to sort of prove like even if this isn't the bucket, we can say, well, if this is the bucket, then what you're saying
No,
can't
it
be
is.
true.
The court illustration is an illustration. It's not a photo. They got the bucket wrong because the bucket wasn't at the scene.
Right. Right. Okay, well, regardless of whether it is or isn't, it seems like it is. But regardless of that, if it is, which is what we're presuming due to the court record,
Yeah.
then yeah, this.
I think this is
contradicts yours.
this is the statement to present on, right?
Should we just double check the other statements? Like, does this contradict
Sure.
the other two? I don't think so.
Which means must have been in her other hand.
Yeah, that doesn't contradict.
Yeah, the milk bucket
Right.
is lighter than deluxe, even so he could carry it. It doesn't contradict.
No.
Doesn't contradict. So it's Kira's.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Hopefully that's.
The
Yeah.
game agrees with us. Yeah, here's open.
Yeah.
Objection.
Nice. All your testimonies have come to the same conclusion. The scepter was not in her right hand with the lantern, therefore it must have been in her other hand that was holding the bucket. However, that's not it. Not by a long shot.
What do you mean?
Contrary to what one of the witnesses stated, the milk bucket was in fact at the crime scene. And you'll also notice something about this bucket. Take another look at the court illustration. Something about the bucket seems a bit odd, wouldn't you say?
Objection.
This illustration was based on eyewitness accounts, so a small discrepancy or two is conceivable.
Objection.
Actually, Inquisitor Barnham, it's highly likely that this illustration is much less accurate than you think. In fact, there is a blatant contradiction present in this illustration. Dun dun dun! Admittedly, it does at first look possible that Miss Cantabella was holding the scepter and the bucket at the same time. However, if you look at the real milk bucket, that possibility goes up in smoke. Here, let's have a look at the real deal. Notice the handle?
Ugh, that cannot be!
That's right, it's covered in milk. Oh, but it is. This particular milk bucket has two pieces of wood on either side of the handle. You were to try and hold both the scepter and this bucket. Well, let's just say that'd be a challenge. A milk challenge, to put it simply.
So true.
A milk bucket challenge.
The milk bucket challenge. You pour this milk over
But-
yourself. It's a challenge.
Oh, there is no way anyone could hold both the bucket and the scepter at once. What?
That must mean clearly you have the wrong bucket.
We never lie when it comes to milk. That is the very bucket I took.
You did lie. You didn't tell the court that you took the milk bucket.
Fuck
That's
you,
a
I
lie.
never lie. Neither is Snowy.
It looks like the witnesses are as surprised about this as Barnum. The defendant couldn't have been able to hold the bucket and the scepter at once. Also, we have already established that she was not holding a scepter in her right hand. Therefore, the defendant, Mrs. Spella Cantabella,
was not holding a witch's scepter at any point during the incident.
Order, order! I said order. Just what is the meaning of this? In all my days as judge of this court, I have never heard such an argument. These are but a paltry set of words, and yet they ring with such remarkable strength. Your Honor, what you just heard was logic. Logic, you say?
What is with these two?
They just silenced Inquisitor Barnum with mere words.
Such foolishness! This must be some type of witchcraft.
Wait, do you think... Could they be
Could
witches?
they be witches?
Sorry, I didn't give you that one. Sorry.
Two people said it at once.
It's so true. It would seem that the concept of logic does not exist in this world.
Look, so real. Right, then let's take this chance to knock their case down a peg or two. I'm worried if we keep this up, we'll all be joining Espella in a one-way trip to the flames.
Objection.
Most intriguing. A knight allows his sword to speak for him during battle. You have spoken with a sword of words.
People
So
have never
be
heard
it.
of what an argument is.
I too shall wield such a blade.
What do you mean?
Sir Blue Knight, there appears to be a hole in this logic of yours.
Logic, yeah, it's kind of like Fruity Loop Studio. Hole? Or I guess, sorry, it's actually just called FL Studio now, isn't it? Yeah.
According to the earlier testimony, it was believed the accused had the lantern hanging from her wrist by the handle. However, she supposedly dropped it, hence it being covered in mud.
That's right.
While that may be true, it does not necessarily mean the accused was therefore unable to use magic. It is merely a question of when she dropped the witch's scepter. Yeah, this is what I was saying. What do you mean, Inquisitor Barnum? It is very simple, my lord. The accused, while first holding the lantern and the witch's scepter, cast her magic. Then she dropped both the lantern and the scepter. Ah, the witch's scepter was dropped after the spell was cast. Of course, yes, that must be it. What say you, Sir Blue Knight? That is but a taste of the knightly knowledge of the Inquisition.
Wow, Sir Barnum cut through that baker's witchery like a hot knife through butter.
Exemplary! I expect nothing less from the hand of Barnum.
Ooh, to be able to shake that powerful hand someday. Barnum,
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 Barnum.
Barnum.
Wards with
They're
swords,
my
yeah.
children.
That Inquisitor isn't quite what he first appeared.
Yeah, sure seems that way. Just a moment ago, it seemed like he'd never even heard of logical debate. Now he's suddenly using it against us? Guys, no joke, that's for sure. I can see why this game is ridiculous.
I know. Now then, most honorable witnesses, I ask that you lend us your aid once more. I request that you all testify to the court once more. Tell us, which occurred first, the dropping of the lantern or the casting of the spell? Witnesses, you may begin your testimonies. Tell this court in your own words but the sequence of events which transpired tonight.
Do you want to take a break, or do you want to push on a few of these and then take a break?
What's the 13 minutes? Let's hear the testimonies, take a break,
Yeah, okay.
then press. What the sequence of events? Of course, the lantern fell to the ground after the incantation of Ignace Sploosh.
I am as sure as Snowy is white. I made certain to keep my eyes peeled on that milk bucket after all.
Besides, how can you be sure the lantern fell just because it has a little mud on it? These eyes do not lie. I saw the lantern in the accused's hand when the incantation was uttered. Figures. The testimonies are all over the place now.
These 4 testimonies, they are most interesting. The witnesses all saw the same thing, and yet, people's memories are evidently quite fickle. They can never be a truly reliable source.
Well then, Professor, with enough poking and prodding, I bet we can really cause their testimonies to crumble.
Of course, we need to exploit their fickle memories to turn this thing around.
We've got this, Nick. We'll press them so hard they won't even remember what they had for breakfast.
I can't even remember what I had for breakfast.
It was cereal, Nick. Which is weird, because we're bakers. Now, Sir Baker, you may begin your interrogation. Which we will do in a minute. In a few minutes, we will begin our interrogation of the idiot squad. Okay, back soon.